Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Real Estate Minute. I am happy to be back with Marla Alt and Julia Brady from 123Organize. Marla, Julia, thanks again for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
We're glad to be here.
My pleasure. 123Organize is an organizing, staging, and moving company. Organized by Marla herself, founded 15 years ago. And she is lucky enough to be joined by Julia, who is now her manager of operations. Marla and Julia, last time they were here, they gave us lots of tips on getting started with decluttering. And we received such positive feedback from that with people actually getting started. People started calling with the next question. Now that I've gotten started decluttering, I seem to be facing all these obstacles and challenges. Can you help me? So we're lucky to have Marla and Julia back to help us now that we've gotten started. Should we jump right in?
Absolutely. So I'm the manager of operations, and I know that something very important is to let everyone know that it's never early to begin the process of decluttering. So even if you aren't planning to move in the immediate future, decluttering is certainly the first step towards going forward. And it can help you feel more calm and relaxed in your own space and help you prepare for whatever lies ahead. So whether you want to declutter now and you might move this month, if you want to declutter now, you might move in 5 years, you'll always feel better after you do it. And you won't have to worry about it later. The more you do now, the less you have to do in the future.
You should have told me that years ago.
When embarking on the decluttering process, you need to start by asking yourself some basic questions like, do you use it? If you do use it, do you really want to keep it? Is it something that gives you joy? Does it spark beauty? Does it connect? Does it add beauty to your home? So if any of these questions are even a hesitation, you basically have your answer. And then it's like, well, what do I do with it? It's a family heirloom. It's something that came through generations. It's time to redirect. So you can reach out to various family members, not just your own children. I've often told people, get it out to all your family members, both near and far, those who are closely related, those who are distant, more distant, and send an email, send the pictures, let them know this is something that you are no longer in need of. And if anyone else would like to, have it in their home, by all means, let me know, and you can work on relocating that and feeling good about it.
That's a great suggestion, because that ties right into the top question and obstacle that people told me was feeling guilty. They're saying, what do I do if I'm feeling guilty especially tossing family items that have been passed on to me that I haven't used, my kids aren't going to use, but what do I do? That's the number one question I've been asked. Okay,
so the very first thing in any case, you always take pictures. Make sure you have pictures for posterity's sake. The other thing that you want to do is you want to seek out just 1 to 2 items. That's what's appropriate. Okay. That's what you need, and that's what your family wants you to have. They don't feel that you need a number of items that belong to the same person. It's really quality over quantity. Remember that. That's the most important phrase when decluttering. It's quality over quantity.
That's great.
And don't keep items just because they belong to a family member. This is the time to redirect.
That's great advice. Julia?
Absolutely. It's all about maybe thinking about it as curating your collection. So you can't keep hundreds of things, but you want to curate it down to what's most important. And then also, it's really, really important, and we can't stress this enough, to delegate. It's not all your responsibility. So keep in mind, number one advice is delegate.
Delegate.
Say that enough.
You guys come in.
there's spouses, children, like Marla said, you can think outside of your immediate nuclear family. So cousins, aunts, uncles, relatives. It's not just your personal family heirloom, it's your whole family's heirloom. So there might be extended family that are interested in having it. There might be extended family that have space for it. And when you expand those circles, there's more of a chance of, number one, finding someone who'd like it, finding space for someone who would like to have it and could have it. And also, many times something might have been passed down to one person, but other people or other relatives would have been interested in getting one piece of something from that relative. So it's nice to be able to share that around your family. And then also something that's very important is to remember that if you're keeping something because you think that your children may want it at some point in the future, ask your children now and believe them when they tell you. If yes, I really, really want it, you can keep it. But if they tell you they don't want it and they're not going to want it, listen to them. You don't need to be permanent storage for them for the next 3 decades. If they say they don't want it, they don't want it, and you're free to get rid of it without feeling bad about it.
Redirect.
Yes, redirect.
That's great. And I hear you saying take the emotion out of it. When we talk about that piece, what about the next obstacle that came up is people say they found things and they were all of a sudden afraid they might be worth something. How do you guide people in that situation?
Right. Well, there's no reason to fear if it may or may not be worth something. It's super easy. If there's something that you realize you want to redirect and you don't know if you should sell it or donate it or what you should do, the first super easy thing you can do, go on eBay and you type in whatever the item is, and you can look at other items that have recently sold or have been recently listed and closed sales, and you can see if they've sold, how much they've sold for, and then you can find out if it's worth your time to sell it. You may find that it is worth your time to sell it. You may find that the thing you thought was collectible is going for 5 cents and thousands of people are selling the same item. So that's a really easy way to search. You can also, depending on the items, you can go to a jeweler, an art dealer, a thrift store, an antiques online auction dealer. So depending on your item, you can approach a professional, and now it's really easy. So you can take a picture on your phone and send them an email and say, hey, I have this. Should I sell it or should I not? And they might say, it's not even worth our time to explore that option, in which case, great, you can donate it. Or they might say, wow, that's amazing. I haven't seen that piece before. And, it's worth your time to pursue. So if it is, pursue it. And if not, you can feel comfortable donating it. And that's an easy first step. It's an email, it's a Google search.
And then I just want to reiterate the eBay piece. So it's so important when you do search on eBay that you click on the left-hand side going down, you're going to have boxes to check, and that would be completed items and sold items, because otherwise you're going to be looking at way more merchandise than actually is in demand. So you want to have the complete picture of what you're able to sell and for what price.
Great, thank you. There's so many little tips. The next obstacle people said came right back to the guilt. What about gifts? Gifts that I feel badly parting with gifts, people said.
Okay, so look, let's face it. A gift is only a good gift if it's something that you can use and something that you love. Otherwise, it's serving no purpose for you. So with that being said, let's pass it on. Let's give it to people who will enjoy it. And even if that does mean donating, so it might make someone so happy to buy that in the Goodwill store for $5, whatever the case may be, you want someone to enjoy it. That's what the gift was made for, to be enjoyed. And, often people are like, well, what happens if my friend comes over and they don't find that gift? Well, you know what? Things get shipped or broken and they can no longer be in your home. So there's other reasons why it may not be shown. And you should only be living with things that bring you joy, like I keep on saying. But I see so many people are like, when we go through their stuff, they're always like, oh, I never liked that. And I'm like, well, why did you keep it? You know, don't live with the fear of what other people may think that about what's in your home. You live there 24/7, and only you and your family live there 24/7. So remember, you make the decisions and you do what's important to you and what makes you feel good.
I can see why you're so valuable to people as they're going through the process. Yeah, Julia, you
Thank
were
you.
going to comment?
Oh, actually, I don't know that I had anything else to add. It's just really important. It's your home, and to reiterate that point, you have to do what's best for you. As we say now, like, you do you. It's your home, and you live there. So realistically, you have to be happy, and you have to be able to live in your space, and you need room for the things that are important to you, that make your daily life easier.
Thank
And
you.
cluttering really is blocked energy. So when you have too many things in your home,
Right.
it's not a good vibe. And you'll see, even by just starting out, I always say start small. So even if you're just cleaning out that little junk drawer, right away, you're going to feel the shift. You're going to feel lighter, because when you open that drawer, you can see things. You're able to obtain what you need when you need it.
That's great.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that ties right into the next obstacle. People said, and I could see myself in this situation, I'm starting and now I find myself not being productive because I'm spending so much time reminiscing. And now as I'm doing all the reminiscing, I'm having a hard time letting go. Again, it's probably similar to other things you've suggested, but if you have any other points for people in that situation.
Well, we've certainly heard it plenty of times. I can assure you on that. And really, I say to people, no matter what, you should work with somebody. You should have an accountability partner. Naturally, it's easiest with a professional, because that's what they're an expert in. That's what they do day in, day out. It goes much quicker, and you'll feel much better knowing that you're having the voice of expertise guiding you every step of the way. If that's not something that you want to go ahead and do, then find an accountability partner, whether it's a friend or a family member. And again, this could be done virtually. I know people are hesitant now to bring people into their home, but you know what? You set up your computer, just like you go on for everybody's doing Zoom, right? Even people who were never doing Zoom now do Zoom. Approach it the same way. You make a date with somebody, and you make it a give and take. So if they're going to give you an hour helping you organize, then you'll find a way to reciprocate. And you'll see, you need the hand holding, and you need the guidance. It will keep you within a very specific time frame with results. And that's what we always want at the end of the day. We want results for you.
Right. And I would say that an outside voice, whether they're going to tell you what to do or what not to do, or even if they're just going to be there to support you and help validate your opinion, I like to think of it as kind of like going shopping with a friend. You know what you like, and you know what looks good on you, but it's always nice to bounce that off of someone, get someone else's opinion, and have someone say, yes, that does look good on you, or no, you're right, that's probably not the best fit. Because deep down, most people know, oh, I haven't used that in 10 years. I haven't used that in 5 years. It's broken. And you know that you shouldn't keep it, or you know that you won't use it, but it really helps to have that second voice who says, yes, you're right. That's the right decision. You're not going to regret that. I support you. So it just helps to have that confidence of the second voice.
You hit on one of the other obstacles people kept telling me which is I struggle with the need, do I need this? And maybe I'll need this even though I haven't used it in forever. That's probably more of what you were saying with letting go or having a hard time letting go. The other recurring theme that I kept on seeing, and we mentioned it, is that people feel guilty about getting rid of things, regardless of how the items are being redirected. So I guess, as you were telling us before, you help people, or people can have friends or try to work through it on their own, but to get rid of that guilt.
Okay, Marla, I think.
Always remember, you have gotten much use out of the items that you own, and especially when it comes to furniture. For most people, it's been a good number of years since they made those purchases. So even if you take the value that you paid and divide it over the number of years that you owned it, you'll see it was a good investment. And that formula, I think, really helps people to understand, because the first thing they say is, I paid a lot of money for that. And I'm sure you did. But again, it doesn't owe you anything. So it eases the conscience. And unfortunately, you may encounter the fact that you might not be able to, sell something that was of value, especially things like upholstered pieces. They're no longer in demand and people don't want them. A lot of brown, big furniture, there's no market for. We know that this generation is much more into a minimalist style. Right. And again, think of it as letting the piece move on. And you know what? I've even taken things of my own to the curb and let them be dumped for bulk. And I thought to myself, it's so much better that they're no longer being an obstacle, both for me and for others. Things have, believe it or not, now things are dated and they have a limited life. And so many generations before that, there was no such thing, but this is the world that we're living in. And no, it's not just your items. It's many, many people are facing this same challenge.
Right. And I'd say that if you even reach the point where you think, I haven't used this, but maybe I might potentially find a reason to use it in the future, you've pretty much answered your own question, that you haven't really used it and you're probably not going to. But just like Marla said, anything that you've had for that much time, it doesn't owe you anything anymore. So you paid for it, it's served you well, and the best thing that it can do for you right now at this point in time is to let it, move on its journey, whether that's to go into someone else's home or to go to a family member, or even if it's just to leave your home if you can't find another home for it. That's helping you move in your journey, in your space, and living your best life in the space that you're in.
You guys are just so helpful, also so calming too. I can understand why you're always so busy. Just the help getting the helping people through the emotional part of it, I think is something that when people spoke to us about the decluttering, really comes up. So, just thank you. I'm sure everybody that's listening is just appreciative to know they're not alone when they feel these things. It's all normal, part of the process, and there are people like you that are out there to help them. So I want to thank you again, Marla, Julia. Thank you so much again for joining me. And I know how important it is to you to help people. And I know you have a special offer for our listeners today, so why don't you share that with them?
Great. We are now offering virtual organizing because that's the best way to be organized. So everyone could be at their own home and we can do it from afar, as they say. So to start you on the right foot, 123Organize can help you achieve perfect and productive organizing, because we don't want you to waste your time within your own home and your own comfort zone. That's what quarantine time is about.
Right. And right now, we'd like to offer a complimentary 15-minute phone consultation to any of your listeners or viewers, and a specially discounted introductory price for our virtual organizing jumpstart package. So anyone can use that and get started on their organizing journey.
Terrific. Thank you again so much. Thank you. Really appreciate it, and talk soon.
Sounds good. Bye-bye now.